Good morning, Kidz Rock. I trust that you all are doing well, that you're keeping safe and you're keeping warm. So today we're going to be speaking about reputations and how our choices and actions in life gives us a reputation, and whether those reputations or actions in our life honors God. So let's have a look at the meaning of the word reputation. So it means what people think of someone because of the attitude, actions, or what he or she has said. So let's make an example and say some of your friends want to go and watch a PG-13 movie or drink alcohol or smoke. What would you do in an instance like this? So what we do in instance like this would determine our reputation. It would either be a good one or a bad one. So if we give in and we do what is wrong, we are seen to have a weak reputation. Whereas if we say no and we stand firm for what we believe in, we are seen to have a strong reputation for doing good. So let's listen to the story of Daniel and how he honored God and has a strong reputation.
Jehoiakim had been king of Judah for only 3 years when the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, attacked Jerusalem. King Nebuchadnezzar conquered the holy city and took many sacred objects from the temple and took them home with him to add to the treasures kept in the house of the king's false god. In addition to the sacred treasures, the conquering army took many prisoners along with them when they left Jerusalem. King Nebuchadnezzar commanded his chief of staff to bring into his palace young captives who could serve in his court. These young men needed to be strong, healthy, good-looking, and well-educated. To show his favor to these young men, and to keep them well-fed, the king ordered that they receive food and wine each day that was prepared in his royal kitchens. Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah were 4 of the young men chosen, all of whom were from the tribe of Judah. The chief of staff renamed them with Babylonian names. Daniel was called Belteshazzar, Hananiah was called Shadrach, Mishael was called Meshach, and Azariah was called Abednego. Even though Daniel was selected to serve King Nebuchadnezzar, he wouldn't eat the food from the king's kitchens because it was forbidden by God. To refuse the king's goodwill was a bold and potentially dangerous move for Daniel. But the chief of staff liked him. While he was willing to let Daniel eat different food, he worried that this diet would cause Daniel to become unhealthy. He said to Daniel, "The king will kill me if you get weak and sick." Daniel spoke with the attendant who had been appointed by the chief of staff to look after Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. "Please test us for 10 days on a diet of vegetables and water," Daniel said. "At the end of the 10 days, see how we look compared to the other young men who are eating the king's food. Then make your decision in light of what you see." The attendant agreed to Daniel's suggestion and tested them for 10 days. At the end of the 10 days, Daniel and his 3 friends looked healthier and stronger than the other young men who had been eating the king's food. After this, the attendant fed the 4 young men only vegetables and water. Because the young men's decision honored God's law, the Lord blessed them with wisdom and understanding. Daniel was given the special ability to interpret dreams. When the training period ordered by the king was completed, the chief of staff brought all the young men to King Nebuchadnezzar. No one impressed the king as much as Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, so they were brought into the royal service. Whenever the king consulted them in any matter requiring wisdom and balanced judgment, he found them 10 times more capable than any of the magicians and enchanters in his entire kingdom.
So I hope all of you enjoyed the story. So let's talk about what happens in the story. So in the story, the king's servant wants Daniel and his friends to eat the king's food. But in Daniel's time, certain foods were seen as unclean or forbidden. The same like now in our times, we also have things that are seen as unclean and forbidden. So what Daniel did is he made a deal with the king's servant, and he asked to feed him and his friends vegetables and water for 10 days and then to see what the outcome would be. So they found that after 10 days, Daniel and his friends were stronger and looked better than those who ate the king's food. For this, Daniel was rewarded with knowledge and wisdom, and he was allowed to serve before the king because he had a strong reputation of one who honors God. So if we consistently live a pure and holy life honoring God, we would also build a strong godly reputation, just like Daniel did. So in Proverbs 20, verse 11, it says that even children are known by the way they act, whether their conduct is pure and whether it is right. So with this being said, we should always remember that our actions and choices in life will determine our reputation, and that as believers, our reputation should always honor God. I trust that you have a good day and a good week at school, and that you remember to wear your mask, sanitize, and wash your hands. Keep safe.